Alright, so today we're going to start looking at angles on the circle. The interesting part, though, is that the angle on the circle, so let me imagine, when I mean on the circle, I'm talking about the corner, the vertex of the angle. So let me imagine a circle, and the corner is on the circle. The measurement of the angle is going to be half of the arc that it creates. So if the angle that I give you is 40 degrees, the arc will be 80. In some questions, I'll give you the angle and ask you for the arc. Some other questions, I'll give you the arc and ask you for the angle. But what we have to remember is the angle, it's half of the arc that it creates. So looking at question number 1, the angle, it will be half of this arc. It seems like we don't know this arc. We just know the other arc. But I know this big arc, 238, and the arc that I need, they complete a circle. And I know a circle is 360. So for me to know how big the arc is, I'm going to go 360 minus 238, which in my case is 122. Because remember, 238 and this arc create a circle. So that's how I found the arc. Now, since the arc is 122, how big is the angle? 61. Thank you. 61 degrees. Remember, the angle, it's half of the arc that it creates. All right, let's take a look at question number 2. The angle is 85. So how big is the arc that it creates? 170. So if I give you the arc, for you to find the angle, obviously divide it by 2. Like this case, if you are given the angle, for you to find the arc, multiply it by 2. So remember, the angle, it's half of the arc that it creates. The front side, it's all numerical. So if I look at question number 3, the arc that it creates is 130 degrees. How big is the angle? 65. Remember, the angle, it's half of the arc. So again, make sure you divide it, not multiply.
Wait,
Because remember that the arc was given, so I divided the arc by 2 to get the angle. Remember, the angle is smaller than the arc, if we can say that. So the front side is all numerical. Any questions on the front? Number 4? All right, looking at question number 4, the angle creates this little arc, and I'm going to say this little arc is 150. The way I came out with the 150 is there's 210. I know the whole circle is 360. So 360 minus 210, that's what gave me the 150. So the arc is 150. How big is the angle? 75. Nice. Remember, the angle, it's half of the arc. So, any other questions from the front? No? All right, now on the back, it's the same idea, but the back is going to be a little more challenging. So looking at number 11, solve for x, assume that lines which appear tangent are tangent. So this part of the circle is 220. I'm going to say the little arc, the remaining of the circle is 140. Right, the remaining of the circle is 140. So if the arc is 140, how big is the angle? So the angle is 70. So I'm just going to come and say 9x minus 7 is equal to 70. Remember the 140, because part of the circle is 220. So I'm going to say the remaining of the circle is 140, right? Because it's 360. And the way I came out was 360 minus 220. So it gave me that the arc was 140. The arc. But remember how the angle, it's half of the arc?
yeah, but the 7 on the 9x minus 7 is
Oh yeah, I meant plus 7. Thank you. So we know that 9x plus 7 is 7 because the angle is 7. But the angle is also 9x plus 7, so that's why I'm letting them equal each other. From here, I'm going to subtract 7. If I get the 9x equals 63, divide by 9, x equals 7. So, like I said, for the backside, so 11 through 20, there's going to be some thinking of it. The front side was all numerical, so it was pretty simple. Now the backside requires some thinking. Now, question number 12, I cannot easily get how many degrees this little arc is, because I don't know how many degrees the big one is. Right? It's in terms of x, but I cannot subtract it from 360. So what I'm going to do is, since the angle is 2x plus 45, I'm going to say the arc is 4x plus 90. Because remember how the angle is half of the arc. So since I was given the angle, for me to find the arc, I multiply the angle by 2. So 2x plus 45 multiplied by 2, that's how I got 4x plus 90 for the little arc. So now I'm going to say this little arc plus the big arc is the whole circle. So I'm going to say 4x plus 90 plus 2x plus 270 is equal to 360. I added the two arcs, and it is equal to a whole circle. And I know a circle is 360.
How'd you get 90?
4x plus 90 because I multiplied 2x plus 45. I multiplied everything by 2. That's how I got 4x plus 90. So now looking at the left, 4x plus 2x, I can simplify that as 6x. 90 plus 270, I can simplify that as 360. And all this is 360. I just simplified the left, right? I just simplified it. So now looking at the left, my positive 360, let me move it to the other side as a negative 360. So I have that 6x equals 0. Let me divide both sides by 6. 0 divided by anything, it's 0. So x equals 0. The idea for me to solve for x was the angle, it's half of the arc. So if I'm given the angle, multiply it by 2 to get the arc. Let's take a look at number 13. The angle, 23x plus 5, the angle, let me multiply it by 2. So 23x plus 5, when you multiply by 2, you get 40x plus 10. Right? Multiply the angle by 2. Bless you. Multiply the angle by 2, and it is equal to the arc, which in this case is 50x minus 10. Notice that the angle, I multiplied it by 2 to equal the arc. It's fine that the x's are not the same. As a matter of fact, we want them to be different, because otherwise they will cancel each other out. So now, to solve for x, my 46x, I'm going to move it to the right as a negative 46x. My negative 10, I'm going to move it as a positive 10. So I'm going to get that 20 is equal to 4x. So what's the value of x? 5. I think the workout, like the work over here, the solving, I don't think is that difficult. The hard part, if anything, is the setup. But what I did here, remember, the angle, I multiplied it by 2 to get the arc. Let's take a look, another question. Pick one. 16? All right, let's take a look at number 16. The angle is given and the arc is given. So what I'm going to do, let me multiply the angle by 2. So I'm going to get 36x minus 8. Right? The angle, I multiplied it by 2, and it's going to equal the arc that it creates, which in this case is 35x minus 2. Yes. Because the angle, it's half of the arc. So in order for me to let them equal each other, have to multiply the angle by 2. And then from here, I'm going to move the 35x to the left. That's a negative 35x. My negative 8, I'm going to move it to the right as a positive 8. And I'll let you guys finish the rest. So remember, every time we want the arc, get the angle and multiply it by 2.
So our number 14, we have to multiply it.
Okay, number 14.
Yeah.
Okay, so the angle is 50, right? If the angle is 50, how big is the arc? 100. So let me just come and say that 100, notice how I multiplied the angle times 2. So 100 is equal to 4 plus 16x. Because the arc as it was, we knew it as 4 plus 16x. So 100, the 100 came because the angle times 2. That makes sense? Like I said, the rest you guys can finish it. I think the hardest part is the setup. All right, any questions? No?